What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel today. My name is Joel. Thanks for stopping by. I'm excited to have been able to put together another character review for you, which for me, Vision is one of my favorite characters. He has been at 550 for me for a long time. But for as good of a champion as he is, that I feel he is anyway, I don't see him being used a whole lot, and I don't know if that is because people just aren't aware of how good he is, or people just don't enjoy playing with him. Because honestly, he's not necessarily the most fun champ to play. He doesn't really have any cool animations. He has no play style that makes him kind of fun to play with. Doesn't do big damage numbers. So on the surface, I could understand why people kind of shy away from him. But really, when you dig into his gameplay, and you realize how good he is really in all situations against all characters, that's kind of when his utility shines through. So I want to take a little bit of time to talk about all of those things and kind of give you my opinion on Vision. So the tech class for me in general is in a really weird spot in the game right now because, on the top you've got Ultron, you've got Vision, and you've got Star-Lord, which are arguably, top 10 champs in the game. And then everything else below that, it drops way off. Iron Man, I would say, is an average champ, but everything else below that is, average at best. Howard the Duck, who was the most recent character to hit the tech class, I only have as a low rank 3-star, so I can't really pass judgment on him quite yet until I do testing of my own. But so far, I do not see Howard the Duck being used in Alliance Wars on defense, which is kind of where I had expected him to be. I ran up against him one time very early on a stun immune node. And at the time I had never really fought a Howard the Duck before, so he was difficult just because I was not ready for his animations. But I didn't really see anything there that would make me think that we're going to be seeing a lot of him in Alliance Wars on defense. But with the changes to Ultron as far as his willpower being nerfed, you never know. Though that could change in the future as people get more Howard the Ducks in the game. And speaking of which, for me, Ultron is probably taken a step back below Vision and Star-Lord because of the nerf to willpower. I have gone up against several Ultrons in Alliance Wars since 12.0, and it is a significant decrease, so much so that I would say we probably will see Ultron kind of getting phased out for other characters, which is a little sad to see. I've used Ultron on my defense for a long time. I've fought against many Ultrons, which if you've watched any of my Alliance War gameplay, you'll know that he's kind of my nemesis. He always seems to get me. But we will probably see him start phasing out for that reason. So that really, for me, leaves two choices when it comes to the tech class. You've got Star-Lord and you've got Vision, which obviously Star-Lord is everybody's favorite pick. With the ability to get high streaks when he's duped, you can see damage numbers that absolutely nobody can even get close to. And right now, everybody wants the 5-star dupe Star-Lord because he's absolutely wrecking Labyrinth of Legends since it got nerfed down. And really, any special event, Road to the Labyrinth, the Realm of Legends, he's really good for longer fights. But I would argue that for Alliance Wars on offense, and I would suspect even a lot of the nodes that we're going to see coming out in Act number 5, that Vision is probably a better option for that than Star-Lord is. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying to rank down your Star-Lord. That is not at all what I'm saying. Star-Lord is still an excellent character. I'm just saying if you are looking at other characters possibly to put catalysts into, possibly rethink that and at least listen to the rest of what I have to say before you make your decision. So just some very basic information to cover before we get into some gameplay on Vision. He is both fully bleed and poison immune, which that is very important when you're going into Alliance Wars, especially depending upon the path that you are running. But I think his most important characteristic, and it really can't be overlooked or overemphasized, is his ability to partially and fully drain the enemy's power. Which that ability, regardless of the node that you're going up against or the character that you're going up against, if you can control the amount of power that character has, you have a chance to win every single fight. And not only that, but you also can pair that with a heal block, which if you use an S1 and it fully drains the enemy's power, or anytime you use an S2, you're going to heal block the character. Which the ability to always have the heal block when you use the special 2 is a huge benefit when you're going up against characters that you know have timed regens that are coming up. So if you were fighting, characters, let's say, in the Road to the Labyrinth 4.6, the Superior Iron Man, you know he's going to put on a regeneration. You can drop down that S2 to play around that. Ultrons, when you go up against Ultrons in Alliance Wars, you obviously know when they're going to get to their 50%, you know when they're going to get to their 25%. When they start processing, you can drop that down and you can play around all that. Another great example is Magic. I've seen this many times. I'm playing against the Magic. I push her, into her special 2, and I have a special 2 active, and she goes into limbo. If I drop my special 2, I drain all of her power. I don't have to worry about the limbo. I can just continue attacking on as normal because she's not going to be receiving any of that health back. So the power drain and the heal block, paired with his ability to be bleed immune and poison immune, make him an excellent choice for every single node that you're going to play up against. And in addition to all that, he did receive a buff to his special 1 and special 2 damage, which in the past you were lucky to get like 600 to 700 damage when you fired off an S1 before the patch. And his S2, if you fully drained the enemy's power, if they had 3 bars, you were only going to be touching about 2,000 damage at the most, which now that has basically doubled. For a special 1, now we're seeing about 2,000, 2,200 damage, somewhere around there. And for a special 2, that has now gone up to about 4,000 and a little bit more than that. So not huge numbers, when we're talking damage output, but that is not really necessarily the point of Vision. But having the extra damage, I will say, I have noticed quite a bit. For the fight that you're seeing on screen right now, this is an Electro in Alliance Wars, and this is not just an Electro, he's on a poison node as well. So in the past, when I fought Electro, I really was trying to use my specials to keep his, keep from having to try to work around his special 1, trying to dodge back, because I screw that timing up all the time. And I say all that to say this, that typically I was at about half health, a little bit below half health if I took no hits from Electro before I could finish him off from my Static Shock. But you can see here, because of the extra damage that I am doing with the specials, I'm actually able to finish him off, and I have quite a bit more health than I had in the past. So again, the damage numbers, they don't jump out on you, the buff that he received. But incrementally, when you kind of add it all together, it does make a big difference in his gameplay. Here's another great example of what makes Vision such a strong character in Alliance Wars. This node is unblockable S1, S1 biased, starts with 1 bar of power, and then more importantly, is a kinetic reactor, so he gets back power every time he's hitting you, even if you're blocking. And if you did not have a character that could control when Yellow Jacket is going to use his specials, this node would absolutely wreck you. Yes, you don't have to bother commenting. I do realize you can fully evade his S1, but it is very difficult to do on a consistent basis. And so what you're seeing me do here is I am only pushing him into his special 1 if I know that I will be able to use my S1 at the end of my combo. So there's a couple times here what you'll see is I don't finish out a combo, like right here, because it would have given him a bar of power and I'm not sure it would have given me. So I went ahead and I backed out before I went back in. And by doing this, it does not allow him, outside of that very first special 1, to ever use his special abilities again. And again, I'm not doing crazy damage, I'm not blowing him out of the water or anything. But it's just kind of a consistent control of the fight, and it is that aspect of him that makes him so powerful. Another spot that Vision shines at in Alliance Wars is when you come up against people who are using and running with the full Suicide Mastery setup. And when you do that, it's a really easy fight. All you're going to want to do is just try to keep your heal block on them and active for as long as possible, which it can be a little bit difficult to get that heal block put on, when they have both the bleed and the poison going at the same time, because that bleed falls off fairly quickly after the start of the fight. But if nothing else, if you can keep the poison ticking away for the majority of the fight, and then you pair that with the recoil damage that they are taking, you're going to make quick work of the characters that way. That is one of the reasons why I don't suggest that you ever use the Suicide Masteries. If you do use them for Alliance Wars, on offense, make sure that your defenders are kind of on like outside paths that aren't going to be run a whole lot, just because it makes it for an easy kill when you've got a Vision and you've got somebody running suicides. Control over a fight is really what makes Vision ultimately so impressive. Whether that be he can, heal block a target that's getting a regen. He can totally bypass poison and bleed abilities. He can drain characters, keeping them away from their specials. He's definitely not kind of what you want to build your offense around, but he is an excellent piece to kind of complement, the other one or two champions that you're using most of the time. Alliance questing is something I haven't necessarily talked about a whole lot, but obviously if you're running the poison path, he's a good character to bring in. One path that I use him on quite a bit is the a heal block path. Those tech champions also have power gain, and they become a really, really big pain. Not that they're difficult, but they're special 2. If you constantly are pushing them to their special 2, without the ability to regen on those fights, even the block damage that you take will start to add up. So if you can control, and keep them from getting their specials, you'll be able to get through those fights, keeping yourself alive longer. One other thing that I wanted to point out, and this is probably the last thing that I will touch on, is Vision does not, in and of himself, have any buffs that he produces. So when you're in Alliance Wars, and pretty much every Alliance War that you're playing right now, the bosses and mini boss are probably Mystic champs, and they more than likely have Mystic Dispersion on. So Vision does not trigger that Mystic Dispersion. He has no Fury buffs, no crit buffs, nothing. Obviously, if you have Evade, which that affects everyone, you're going to be giving them a little bit. But like Captain America, one of the reasons that makes him so good against Mystic champions, not only the class advantage, but he doesn't have any buffs to trigger that. Vision is the same way. Plus, paired with the power drain, makes him a really good option for dealing with Mystic Dispersion champs. So I hope this has been a little bit of a help to you, maybe shine a little bit more light on Vision. If you have him at 550, I'm sure this was probably nothing new to you. You are aware of how good he is. But for those of you that maybe took up, let's say, I don't know, Iron Man or Rocket Raccoon or Hulkbuster, with all the rank down tickets, now would be a good time to take one of those down and put them into Vision. Test him out, play around with him a little bit. I think you'll find that he's probably a better champ than what you're realizing that he is, and he's got a lot of use in the game right now. Certainly there are a few characters that can, bring to the table bleed immunity, poison immunity, power drain, heal block, all of those things. And that really makes him a great pairing with like a Scarlet Witch or X-23, Captain America. Any of those characters he kind of can play second fiddle to, and you can bring him in when need be. And that, I think, is where I'm going to wrap up today's video at. Thanks, as always, for the support. It means a lot. If you have any questions, leave those down in the comments below. I will do my best to get to as many of them as I can. You are welcome to follow me over on Twitter as well. People can catch me there, and I'll do my best to answer questions on both platforms. Also, I do try to keep a few friend spot open on my friends list in game, so that people who are supporters and want to reach out to me directly can do so. So I say all that to just say this: if you were on my friends list for a while and you have been kicked off now, it's not because I hate you or I have anything against you. I just try to cycle people through so I can be in contact with as many people as possible. Alright guys, until the next video, take care, have a great day. Bye-bye.